thank you, organizers. Thank you, Dr. Altaf sir, and everyone, and the organizers of JKOACon 2021 for giving me this opportunity. I will be telling you about application of the tibial frame, and this is really a very basic talk. So I will be talking to you about the types of tibial frames and how we apply it. And you could apply it for n number of reasons, but I will be covering two very common scenarios, one of which is bone transport, and the other one is deformity correction. So when you talk of Elizarov now, people with different experience tend to do Elizarov differently, but for the sake of simplicity of the beginners, you can have three basic type of frames. So you have a 2-ring frame, a 3-ring frame, which is the workhorse for all of the Elizarov surgery, and then you also have a 4-ring frame, and I will tell you about all of these one by one. And then you also have a pre-constructed frame. So a pre-construction means that you make this frame even before the surgery. And I remember as residents, even as a consultant, I have been doing this the day before surgery. So if you want to have less operative time and you want to plan your surgery, always do a pre-constructed frame. A progressive frame means that you build the frame in the surgery. So for example, you put one ring and then the other ring, and then connect them with the rods. So that is a progressive frame. But for beginners, it is always advised to go with a pre-constructed frame. Now, what is a 2-ring frame? Now, a 2-ring frame is something which I and possibly many of the Elizarov surgeons use very, very infrequently. You would use it for a short segment lengthening or maybe a simple compression for a non-union case. But remember, Dr. Shabir talked to you about the biomechanics. A 2-ring frame is an unstable frame. And if you want to use this, you add on to the stability. You can improve the stability. If you're doing lengthening, you can use telescoping rods. And then this was also discussed in the biomechanics. You can extend your fixation, use drop pins, span an area of the bone above and below the 2 rings, so that it essentially has more bone to work with, and then this 2-ring frame becomes stable. But what I want everyone to remember is that the 2-ring frame is infrequently used and should be only used by experienced people, that too for very, very select indications. Remember to make this stable when you're using it. The 3-ring frame, as I told you, is the workhorse for all Elizarov surgeons. So you basically have a 2-ring block, which is connected to the 3rd ring, and you can make this in pre-constructed mode. So you can make the frame pre-operatively, or you can even build this in a progressive fashion. And you use it for lengthening, compressions, and experienced surgeons, I've also seen them use this for deformity correction. Now, a 4-ring frame is used for deformity correction for bone transport. And it is, when you're using it for deformity correction, it is always better to pre-construct the frame. So here is a pre-constructed 4-ring frame for a bone transport. The difference between this and that, so for a deformity correction, you basically have two 2-ring blocks which are connected to each other by hinges. For bone transport, you have rods running down through all 4 of the rings. Now, this is an essential component of a bone transport. And as you can see here, you can use square bolts. This allows the patient to see, when you are going at 0.25 millimeters per day, the patients can actually see how much turn they have to do, and this makes life easy for them. So when you're doing a 4-ring frame, please remember that you need to have enough stability, but you should minimize the bulk. So for example, if this was a case of a bone transport and you were planning to do a proximal tibial corticotomy, you could make the frame like this, You could have 2 rings in the proximal fragment, but that would make the frame very bulky. So you can replace the 2 rings or the 2nd ring in the proximal fragment with drop pins. Then you have 2 rings in the middle fragment, which is the transport fragment, and then you have a distal ring. So drop pins let you add to the stability and decrease the frame bulk. Here is a frame, a pre-constructed 4-ring frame, and you can see here in the image on the left, I have used the Rancho cubes to connect the transport fragment in the middle. So then these two rings become essentially one big ring, and this becomes your bone transport unit. And this holds the bone transport fragment very solidly, and it prevents any axis deviation of this fragment, right? So whenever you are doing this, I cannot emphasize enough on the amount of planning. So if you are doing, surgery for infection, how much do you need to resect? If this is atrophic non-union, how much do you need to freshen? Where are you doing the corticotomy? Are you doing this at one level, multiple levels? What kind of transport are you doing? Are you doing an acute docking and lengthening? Are you doing a gradual transport? What will you do to the fibula? And how will you prepare your frame? Now, coming on to the actual thing, how do you mount a ring for a bone transport? So this is the example of a 4-ring. So the general principle when you do this is that the frame should be parallel to the long axis of the proximal and the distal fragments in the coronal and the sagittal plane. And this diagram shows you that it is mounted well to the proximal, the proximal end of the bone, but the distal end of the bone is not in good alignment. And then when you transport this kind of a thing, it is going to result in axis deviation. So be careful of this. So the sequence that I tend to follow is proximal fixation followed by distal fixation, and then we fix the transport fragment. And I follow the far, far, near, near principle. This is also very similar to the fixation that you would do in an AO type of external tubular fixator. So how do you do this? Dr. Asif also talked about this a little, but I will elaborate further. So the first wire is always the reference wire, and I like to put it from the lateral to medial side. And please remember that the medial proximal tibial angle is 87 degrees in most of the cases. You have variations. So when you put this wire, you are trying to mimic the MPTA. And the intraoperative trick is, remember that the wire should be higher on the medial side and low on the lateral side. So then you will get an 87 degrees MPTA. If you mount the reference wire, if you put the reference wire parallel to the knee joint, your frame will end up in valgus. So please do not mount it exactly parallel to the knee joint, mount it at 87 degrees. And if you have 87 degrees, as you can see here, it will be parallel to the anatomical axis of tibia. So once you have put your reference wire, fix your frame to that reference wire, and then check the lateral view. So in the lateral view, your frame should again be parallel to the long axis of the tibia. And Kevin Titsworth proposed this technique. You can have a long K wire attached to the proximal ring. And here you can use this K wire to align the ring in the lateral view, and it becomes parallel. So in this diagram, you can see that the frame is not parallel to the long axis of the tibia, but by using this wire technique, you can make it parallel. Now, Dr. Asif has already talked about the safe zones, and I'm not going to repeat this, but my preference is to use the fibular transosseous wire, and then you can keep adding on to it to improve the stability. So once the proximal end of the frame has been fixed, you move to the distal end. And the easy wire to put is again a lateral to medial wire, which is parallel to the plafond. Please be careful not to make this wire intra-articular. So you should have a significant distance from the plafond. And once you have done this, again, go to the lateral view, check your alignment, and make sure that your frame is parallel to the long axis of the tibia in the lateral view, and you add a crossed wire. This is how you can do it. Remember your safe zones and try to maximize the stability and the spread of the wires. So once this is done, you move to the transport fragment, which is the middle fragment. Now for the middle fragment, you can use all wires, or you can also use half pins. But remember Dr. Shabir's message, try to get at least 30 degrees of spread. Ideal would be 60 degrees. 90 degrees is what we aim for, but we can rarely get. And remember that you can always add half pins to improve the stability. So when you are done fixing the frame, it should be parallel to the bone in both the AP and the lateral views. So how do you do this for a deformity? So this is slightly different from the bone transport. Here you go from a proximal to a distal direction. So that's how you put your reference wire. Remember the 87 degrees MPTA. The frame is always pre-constructed, especially if you are a beginner. Remember the 2-finger breadth rule. I did not talk about this earlier, but remember the 2-finger breadth rule. And if you have to err, please ensure that you have more space posteriorly, because the muscle bulk is posterior, all of your swelling is also going to be posterior. So once you have done this, again, align the frame in the lateral view, add your crossed wires. So see here, your bone should be parallel to the ring. Then go ahead, once the proximal block is fixed, fix the distal part of the proximal block, which is this ring. Then move to the distal block. Again, start from a distal direction, move proximally. And by doing this, you can make minor adjustments and ensure that everything is in the center and is well aligned. And the hinges are at the level of the corra. Now, mind you, in deformity, this is very important. So once this is done, the frame fixation is completed. So the take-home message from this very short, but I hope useful talk is, please remember that you have pre-constructed frames and progressive frames. For beginners, always pre-constructed frames are better. Remember the 3-ring and the 4-ring frames. When you're looking at lengthening and compression, the 3-ring frames are good. If you're doing bone transport and deformity correction, 4-ring frames are preferable. You can always go up and down. You can extend your fixation into the foot if you feel it is unstable. You can also span it up into the knee temporarily if you feel that the fixation is unstable. Plan and pre-construct, respect your safe zones, and maximize the stability while minimizing the bulk. Thank you.